20 years ago today, Jess and I and our family moved back to Hagerstown, Maryland to start HCV. And you may be wondering, why a Redskins jersey, Chris? Well, HCV began with Redskins playoff parties. We invited friends over to watch the Redskins play 2 playoff games. And from those 2 parties, we launched out into Saturday evening gatherings. In fact, this is where worship used to be. We had a TV right here in the corner with a worship leader on an acoustic guitar. And this was our sanctuary, our living room.
Yeah, it was full of kids and dogs. And
we wanted to take you back there to make you realize how far we have come. So from our Redskins parties, we started having weekly gatherings in our living room on Saturday nights. Those gatherings continued to grow to where in March 2006, we had nearly 60 people in our living room.
Right. Then the youth pastors and the kids pastors live right across the way and the house over, and we started kids ministry over there.
Yes.
And so that was fun because all we had to do was like walk right through the yard and have the kids over there. So a lot of the chaos disappeared, but then we kept filling up with people.
Yeah. And as the people grew and we began to pray and ask God what was next, we sensed that we needed to go public. We needed to get a space, rent a space where we could publicly announce that the church was starting. And that will be our next stop.
Lots of fun, right? Right, Bae? Yeah, so.
Couldn't fit any more people in the living room. So we had to begin to try to find a space that we could afford, and we didn't really have any money. People weren't giving or anything like that yet. So a couple of the people that had been coming to our Saturday night gatherings began a search for us, and their most successful search was the Red Cross. It was a new building, a big empty room, and it was cheap. And we could afford it every week. So it was a complete step of faith. I mean, I still remember driving there the very first night that we were it was an evening, that we were gonna have the public gathering, and I had butterflies in my stomach. It was like I was playing football again.
Well, to be honest, I don't think I had any. I really felt like this was what God had called us to do. We moved home. I think one of the biggest things was like moving home and knowing that God had called us to Hagerstown. He gave us a vision for this town and what he wanted to do here. We wanted to start a place where people could come as they are and be loved and be accepted right where they were. And we knew Hagerstown needed that. This was our hometown. And so every step was just almost like a celebration, because we knew God was in it and God was going to meet us. So I don't think I was afraid or had fear, because I knew this is what we were supposed to do. This was our calling. Like, this was our ultimate purpose in our life. I mean, there were times that money was tight. You know, we had put all of our finances from our home, the sale of our home, into this. Chris worked bivocationally. I had to start a learning center, you know, a daycare in my home and provide for my kids. And there were times where I was like, God, when are we going to get paid? What are we going to do with this bill? And it was amazing because he met us at every single step. I remember praying one day and being like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. And I went to the mailbox and there was a check for like the exact amount that we needed. And so it was always, God always showed up. As we were faithful to him, he was faithful to us. So I just knew this is what we're going to do. You know, this is what we're going to do for the rest of our life. And so it was exciting. You know, it was an exciting time. It was just all in. We were all in, and we were just excited to see what God was going to do. You know, we really believed the scripture verse, you know, we're going to bring change. We're going to bring life into people that didn't know Jesus. And so, yeah, it's kind of like you just step out because you know God's going to meet you. This is where we would meet. We would meet in the back. This is the back.
Hey friends, stop number 2. Welcome to the American Red Cross, where April 2006, Saturday night before Easter, we had our first public gathering as the Hub City Vineyard. This was actually the entrance where people would come in. You could go in, we had a cafe, we had the band set up, we had the kids ready in the hallway, and it was just an incredible step of faith for us to take this journey and start this journey with a public meeting where we announced it to everyone.
Yeah, it was really fun to come in on a Saturday night
Yep.
and have snacks and appetizers and set up and just worship God. It was just like, it was just a new culture for us. I think just creating a culture where people love people
Yep.
and they wanted to be family and they wanted to be community.
Yep.
And so I think that changed here. You know, it came from our house where, you know, okay, this is a home, we love everybody, but this is, no, we want to do this in the, you know, out.
Exactly.
In the public. And
Yeah.
we want everybody to come and experience that. So,
Yeah, and the Gambies would actually have people over after their Saturday night gatherings where they would eat together and just pray with one another and just practice fellowship. It was so exciting to see people wanting to just be together. Now, it's interesting. At this stop, we actually took another step of faith and served at the Reach Cold Weather Shelter. And believe it or not, that's how we became the hippie church. So when we went to serve at the Reach Cold Weather Shelter, we decided to do karaoke and board games with the residents there. Well, when we got there, we were told that we couldn't interact with the residents. We had to cook the food, close the window, serve them the food, and then leave. To which I said, we want to interact with the residents. They're not in jail. So we got permission and we're able to do karaoke and play board games with the residents there at the cold weather shelter. And as we were leaving that evening, one of the leaders of Reach looked at our small group of people, there was probably 20 of us, and they said, well, you guys are just a bunch of hippies. You love everyone. So I looked back and said, well, if we're hippies, then I guess Jesus is the original hippie. And we've embraced that now. And that's why we have tie-dye shirts and a van for our sign that many of you pass by on your way into our Sunday gatherings.
I guess we just like always were praying, just praying that God would bring in the right people to help, that would see the vision of what we wanted to do, especially people that are coming from other communities of faith that were a little bit more, you know, traditional. So we wanted to do something that was a little bit more, it was out of the ordinary when we were there. So just, and to love on people. You know, just people that had a heart for other people and that would accept people for who they were was super important to us. And so we wanted people that love God and love people. And so that was our heart, is we constantly just prayed that God would bring in the right people who had the same vision for Hagerstown and the tri-state area as we did. It was important to us that we communicated that, because we didn't want to be just another church. We wanted to be a church that accepted and loved people right where they were. And so we just kept praying, and God would bring in people. And then when they would go, we're like, okay, that's probably not the person that we need in our community of faith. And so he would bring in other people that just had the same heart as us. And so that was beautiful to just see the people who came and stayed. The shares, Phil and Christine and their family are still with us. Phil's on the board today, and you know, my mom and dad, they were with us. And so it's so amazing to see people that really have a heart to love others that join with us. And yeah, that was just kind of my prayer, is I don't want to be a regular church. I don't want to be a place that people feel judged. I want to be a place where people really feel the Holy Spirit and love of Jesus. So that was kind of our prayer, and I think it's worked. So on the Saturday night services, we had kids ministry. First started in the hallway, but the kids grew, so then we had to divide the space in half. So they had a dividing wall that came down. So we did kids on one side and adults on the other. Well, the kids got a little rowdy. You know, our kids.
Yes.
So we decided that it was time to move.
That's right. Fall of 2006. This would have been right around September or October. We decided the kids won. We need to change locations. And that's when we moved to Sunday mornings. And that's where you'll see our next stop.
So when we were at the Red Cross Community Building, that was the first time we did servant evangelism. Did you remember, Chris?
Yes.
It was like we met over in the shopping center over by Super Shoe, and we had water bottles, and we had our new shirts we designed the logo and ironed them on, pressed them on.
Homemade printed shirts.
Yeah, Zoe was in her diaper.
Yeah.
So we met everybody and we walked over. We did the 4th of July fireworks at the Hagerstown Fairgrounds. So we went over there and just handed out water bottles and just told everybody how much Jesus loved them and they were free. And it was just a fun time. We have pictures of it too. It was a great time.
And it definitely caught people off guard because there were so many people that didn't want the water bottles. And I can understand because that was a new concept for people. There weren't churches doing servant evangelism in our area, in the tri-state area. And as we started to do it, people were just skeptical. They were wondering what was this all about. And they would always ask, what's the catch? Is this really free?
Yeah, we did the water bottles, and then the Mummers Day Parade, we did the glow necklaces. And we started being known as a church that gave away glow necklaces at the Mummers Day Parade. So we just wanted to keep, and that's why we do servant evangelism today, because you never know, who gets that, who needs that message. We give away the flowers just to give a smile and just to say, God cares about everybody, and God's love is free. And so that was so important to us at the beginning. That was the heart of what we had started, and it continues today. So that's why I love it so much is we do it every month now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a part of our culture. It's who we are.
We love to serve. We love to serve people.
Hey friends, welcome to Sunday mornings at HCV. That's right, fall 2006, we shifted to E. Russell Hicks Middle School, where we began to set up and tear down church every single Sunday. So we would arrive about 6 a.m., we would unpack the trailer. Of course, I was the only one that could unpack it and pack it because it was like Tetris. And we would spend hours setting up the worship area, the kids areas. We even had to pick up a few French fries and hot dogs left over in the cafeteria. But hey, that's a part of church planning, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. We had the kids in the hallways.
Yep.
And we would set them up with their carpets and the rocking chairs. But it was good. I mean, the biggest thing I would say is we set up, but we prayed over those chairs every week. We put the signs out, we put signs out front, we prayed over the chairs, and we said, God, just kept praying for people to come in.
Yeah.
Praying that people that just needed Jesus would come into a relationship with him and they would feel welcome in our space.
Yes.
And that's where our first assistant pastor, Matt Walker, he came in one Sunday because of our signs.
Yeah, God led him to our signs, and he showed up with his wife on a Sunday morning. And it happened to be that Sunday was Earth Day. And as a church, we canceled Sunday morning gatherings, and we went outside here and we beautified the area. We put planters out, we cleaned up all the trash, and we turned this facility into a beautiful facility on Earth Day. And it was just another step and another way of us wanting to beautify the tri-state area. I've always known it. Jess and I, you know our story. We felt like we were going to plant in South Carolina. Actually visited Charleston, South Carolina, met a bunch of people that wanted to start a vineyard church. And while we were there, 2 hurricanes hit. Now, of course, Chris being Chris tried to convince his wife that 2 hurricanes meant that's just God's spirit stirring up South Carolina. And she looked back at me and said, Chris, you're absolutely nuts. It means we're not supposed to be here. God's calling us somewhere else.
Yeah, it wasn't kind of like that.
It was.
But every time we would come home this is home. And every time we would come home, we'd walk on the canal. Chris had such a peace, and he'd say, if I was going to plant a church in Hagerstown, I'd have Crumpy's Donuts. If I was going to plant a church in Hagerstown, I'd connect with my old friends. I would do it this way. And so every time we would come home, you just had this amazing, word from God, like this is where we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then I remember we were in Syracuse, and one morning I said, we're supposed to go back home. You know, I had the scripture, God gave me the scripture, the people from the north went to the south and back to their homeland. And you were like, the homeland, South Carolina. I was like, the homeland is our homeland.
Yeah.
And so that was the point where I believe we said, okay, God, we're all in with you. And we don't care. Like, we lost our whole youth group. We lost people that wanted to go to the beach. And we got a whole new team of people that just really wanted to come anywhere.
Wanted to come to Hagerstown.
Anywhere, like Hagerstown, to start a church.
Yeah.
To just love on God, love people, and just accept people. So at that point, we're like, okay, God, we're doing it.
Yep. It's a big reason why every Sunday here, I would set out 100 chairs and only 40 people would show up, because I knew God was going to bring chairs in, going to bring people in to fill those chairs.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. That was the back door.
Oh yeah, we could do.
Like the secret back door off the stage. Right here.
Oh wow, yeah.
So our stage.
Well, we could do it back here too, because
Our
they had like
stage was right here. Yep. This was our stage.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because this was the door beside the stage. So cool.
Yeah, that was our emergency exit.
Yeah. And then you just ripped all the drop ceiling out. Hey friends, welcome to Bauer Avenue. This was the first permanent location for HCV. We moved here, found this location after E. Russell Hicks. Actually, when I first found this space to rent it, it used to be an old country line dancing bar. And when we walked in to see it, it literally looked like a dirty ashtray. Like a used dirty ashtray. And everyone that came to see it said, Chris, you're crazy. There's no way you can rent this. And I said, think about the price. We can afford it. Yes, we can rent it. And in 3 weeks, we had cleaned it, painted it, added a cafe and a nursery. And I still remember it was 2009 where we opened it up and we started having Sunday gatherings right here at Bauer Avenue.
Yeah, and when we first opened up the space, you know, we had to create a nursery.
Yep.
And we had to create a stage, and I was one of those people that said, this is too dirty.
Yes.
And all the poles and everything, but God worked it out. And we didn't really even have enough space for the kids. So we built the nursery in the main auditorium, and then we had one space.
Yes, we rented
one other space that was a building, because it was like a little strip area. And then right before we were supposed to move in, like 2 weeks before we were supposed to move in, another space came open.
Yep.
So we were able to rent that. So we had 2 spaces for our kids. So we had the nursery, and then we had a preschool classroom, and then we had an upper elementary, and then we moved in, and then God just kept making spaces close down around us.
Yes.
And as our kids grew, he provided.
Yes.
And so it was another answer to prayer of like, okay, God, you're providing a space. You're providing, this was kind of, I feel like, our first home.
Yep. Yeah.
This is where we really became the hippie church. We were able to have a place where people could gather. We had our small groups every week. Because before that, we had our small groups out in the community, which is awesome and great. But people really wanted to have that sense of, this is home. This is a permanent location. And so we were here a lot longer than we planned to be.
Yeah, we were here for 9 years,
right.
till 2018. And in that journey, just like Jess said about taking a step of faith, God challenged me that every time a business went out of business here in this strip mall, to rent it. And I still remember wrestling with God and chatting with God, like, well, we can't afford it. And he just kept saying, trust me, Chris. Trust me.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was crazy.
And it was really where we became, you know, we got our tie-dyes. We kind of embraced the tie-dye thing and baptisms.
Yes.
Baptism became really big part of our community faith then.
Very important.
You did the polar bear plunge as Batman one year. And then once you did that, I feel like we exploded.
It was on, yeah, because I did the polar bear plunge as Batman and we were giving away hot chocolate. And then we actually started doing polar bear baptisms, where after the plunge took place, we would baptize people on New Year's Day down at the river, at River Bottom. And then that turned into the following summer. God challenged me and said, Chris, I want you to have baptism every single Sunday. So we bought a small blow up pool
from Walmart.
Yeah.
And you blew it up every
Saturday night. I would blow it up.
Fill it with water. We clean, get everything ready for Sunday.
And sure enough, every single Sunday during that summer, I guess it would have been 2010, maybe 2011, every single Sunday during that summer, someone would get baptized. I mean, we literally baptized from May until September. Someone would get baptized every single Sunday.
And we had a sign, we put that sign, need baptized.
Need baptism,
and people would come in. So this was actually, they've redecorated this whole space, but this was part of our stage area. And this was our emergency exit that was here. And then we would do the baptisms out in the parking lot out back.
Yep.
And then also, over in the other part of the parking lot. So we would just fill up the pool out here. And this is the way a lot of people exited the church. And then you had the back parking lot here. And then the back parking lot, we had all these little strips down here. We had the elementary, the middle school, and then we ended up having a youth space. And then our kids, where that garage door is now, that became our kids spot. And so we had this whole area. And this is where our kids grew up. We had actually had a playground back here.
Yeah.
This is where the Barretts, Tracy's family came in and her kids. And so
I still remember during a Sunday morning matinee, we were doing 127 hours. It was one of our first ever Sunday morning matinee series. I rappelled up into the ceiling and used it as an object lesson for one of my sermons.
And also the rock wall that's in our kids area right now.
Yes.
You built that for that series.
Yeah, for that series.
So we would, and the picture that's in the kids area now that's up above the loft.
Yes.
We did a series where you talked about different characters in the Bible and different people in our church painted it, and it became this puzzle, and it's up in our kids' wing today.
Yeah, it's still there. Still there.
It's amazing the things that we started here, that are foundational to our community of faith.
Yes.
We still served at Reach Cold Weather Shelter. We started to print the tie-dyes.
Yep.
We started
tie-dye shirts. We started Angel Tree here. Angel Tree took place here and now is exploded into something incredible. And wow, 9 years we spent here at Bower Avenue. 9 years. And
it got too small.
And then it was too small. We were about ready to add a fourth service. We had 3 services, about ready to add a fourth service.
But we also
Dollar General built their building.
Yeah, and we also said, we need to move someplace.
Yes.
So once we had Easter at South High.
Yes.
And so then we just chose to go to South High while we were trying to figure out what was next, right?
Yes. Friends, welcome to stop number 5 on the HCV journey, South Hagerstown High School.
Yeah, we came over here. We decided to do Easter because we wanted a big auditorium to worship all together.
Yes.
And so then we ended up moving over here.
Yes, we had no choice because Dollar General built their new building out near Bower Avenue and we lost our parking lot. So already running 3 services, about to run 4 services at Bower Avenue. When we lost that parking, we had nowhere to go. So then we remembered, wait, we did Easter at South High. Let's do Sunday mornings at South High. So we began to do setup teardown on a huge scale because we were averaging at least 800 to 1,000 people every single Sunday.
Yeah.
So the setup and the teardown was quite a undertaking.
Yeah, it was great. God met us here.
Oh, it was incredible.
We prayed over the school. We prayed over the students.
Yes.
We had an amazing kids ministry.
Yeah, it was
we met
incredible.
in the cafeteria.
Yep.
And so it was a great time. Lots of fun.
Yes. And our community of faith learned to do the wave. Check this out. And then God led us through I got a Facebook Messenger message from a chaplain at Homewood that had visited HCV several times for our worship. He loved our worship. And
what I do know is that my first and highest priority is protecting the health, the safety, and the welfare of the people of Maryland.
Chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. Thank you, Lord. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am.
If these trends continue into next week, we'll be ready to lift the stay-at-home order.
Oh, I am who you say I am.
Hey friends, welcome to stop number 6 of your HCV 20-year journey, the premium outlets.
This is it. This is where we met while we were waiting on our building to be built, right?
Yes, yes.
This is COVID. The governor had opened up and said we could meet, and so we decided to let's go and meet at the outlet.
Yes, yes. Governor Hogan allowed churches to meet at the height of COVID. So the fall of 2020, we had already broken ground on our new building, but we needed a space to meet because there was people in our community of faith that wanted to meet. So we came to Premium Outlets. We rented this space. This was our main worship gathering, and just up the hallway there was our kids space. And we would just show up here every Sunday and wear masks and do distancing and worship and love Jesus.
And it's so amazing here at the outlets is where a lot of our staff came in after COVID. A lot of people that are in our community of faith now wanted a place to worship and gather. And they came to us during COVID and right after COVID and worship with us. And we met them there and God met them and they're part of our community of faith today. So it's a great part of our story.
Absolutely. So an exciting journey that we're on here. And as you can see, God has taken us to different locations, but the next stop now is home. He told me about a church that was struggling, Church of the Holy Trinity, that I should reach out to him and ask him if we could help him. And that's our next stop.
Being back through Bauer, looking back, how do you feel?
Emotional. It's been a long journey. 20 years is a long time, but when you actually visit all of the spaces and you begin to remember everything that God did through not just me or Jess or our family, but through everybody in the church, it's humbling. Just lives changed and miracles have happened and cancer that has been dried up and addicts that are no longer addicts, and it's quite a journey. What do you think, Jess?
Yeah. I think about all the growth that we've had personally and how people trusted us to grow with us, right? And then just all the people that have come into our lives. You know, Rhett came in at Bauer, during the movie series. The things that make us us, and then Rudy came in at Bauer during the Elvis impersonator we did for
during summer jams.
We started summer jams there. So, it took a while for our kids. That was the church that they called home until a couple of them went to college. But it was good. It was good stuff. It was just seeing the blessings that God has for you after, the years of sowing. The years of sowing and faithfully being consistent, being a consistent force in people's lives, and just people knowing that we're going to be there for them. And I think that started at Bauer. Just, people knowing, hey, I can come here and I feel like I'm home. And I feel like I'm going to be loved and cared for no matter what my condition is, no matter, what I've been doing the last 6 months, you know, this is a place where people love me, accept me, and want the best for me. And so I feel like, especially going to Bauer, that was, you know, that began there. Because it just, you know, rooms were full all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
rooms were full all the time.
Kids were running around, you know, learning how to worship God, you know, so. Just
one thing reflecting on this whole journey is that it's humbling to realize that God sent us to make a difference in our hometown. And it's just exciting to see what he's going to continue to do. Because now, we're at our new home. Hey friends, welcome to Oak Ridge Drive. This, of course, is our new home, and we chose this room, specifically Mr. John's elementary classroom, because this is an important part of our journey.
Yeah, when COVID hit, we owned this building, so it was perfect. We knew we shut down at South High, we couldn't meet, and we had this building, we had the learning center here, and so we made this room our live stream room. So if you recognize, the first live streams were kind of rough.
Yes, very rough.
But we ended up doing Easter from this room during COVID, and it was an interesting Easter.
Because there was 6 of us in this room, or 7 at the most.
Right.
And here I am sharing this Easter story, this Easter message, having no idea where it was going, what it was going to do, but little did we know that Mr. John, who is now the kids pastor here at HCV, would kneel down in his living room during that broadcast and give his life to Jesus.
It's an amazing story.
Yes.
It's an amazing story of God's goodness. And the amazing thing was we didn't have rent or overhead during COVID because we owned this building.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't what we wanted. We didn't have the auditorium attached to it,
yes.
but we had the Church of the Holy Trinity. We had this space here, which was their multi-purpose room.
Yep.
And now it gets filled every Sunday with all your amazing kids. But God worked it out. God had perfect timing. And that's one thing when you step out in faith, you recognize that God's in control. He's got perfect timing, and sometimes things just happen the way he wants them to happen.
That's right. And the amazing thing about this story is we were broadcasting from this room because our bank and the loan for the addition that we were going to build said that they wouldn't give us the money. They wouldn't release the building funds because of COVID. So we needed to give our giving records from January 2020 to May 2020 just for the ground to be broken on the new addition, on the new main auditorium. And friends, because of you, because of these broadcasts, because of the step of faith, our giving doubled from January 2020 to May 2020 at the height of COVID. Our giving doubled, and the bank released the building funds at the height of COVID, May 2020, and we broke ground at the end of May 2020 on the addition that we're about to show you right now.
Well, here we are in the Welcome Hub, and the amazing thing is this concrete right here, this blue concrete, is the old building. And when we had the original design, this was 2 different rooms. This was like 2 nurseries, and we knocked it out, and we connected the 2 buildings, and when we created, this is the new space.
Yes.
So this was the outside of CHT, and that's why we did the mural there, just the hands reaching out to the community. So this was the outside of the old building, and then this is what God provided for us. This is our new space, a place that people could come, they could come into a cafe and feel welcome and loved, a place where people could come and gather, have coffee, put their feet up, and just relax and become home. So this became our home. So this is the cafe area connected to the old space, the old church, and then we have our new auditorium. But the amazing thing that we love about this building, this new home, was that we could take something that was meant for God and we could restore it and repurpose it. You know, just like our lives, God takes us and we think we're done, or we think that we're not good enough, or we think that we've been washed up, and then somebody comes in with fresh vision. Jesus comes in with fresh vision, and he creates something beautiful with our lives. And so that's what we were able to do in this church. We were able to take the vision that people had when they originally got the land, and we were able to create a church that thrives and serves the community and loves the people around it. So we've been so honored and blessed to be home here at Oak Ridge Drive, and God's done amazing things.
And the amazing thing about this building, Stephen, is this is a community center. It's not necessarily a church building, it's not an auditorium, but this is a community center where we have a learning center. And the Red Cross community room where this whole thing started with our first public gathering, now the Red Cross uses this space as one of their main hubs.
Yeah, and every Sunday we get to gather, and every day through the week we've run out of space. We've got so many groups that meet, we have so many lives that have been changed, we have so many testimonies, and our heart is that, if you come in here, you're not going to leave the same.
That's right.
God's going to heal you and heal your heart. You're going to be loved, you're going to be accepted, and you're just going to know who you were created to be.
Yeah.
You're gonna know how loved you are.
And we know from this past year, 2025, that our God moves mountains. And many of you know, and we're gonna journey out there next, that we have a new parking lot. We have new land that we've purchased. And because of those purchases, we're able to expand our parking so that more and more people can come as they are and experience Jesus for the first time.
It's been a good year.
Well, here it is, friends. This is our new addition to our campus. We have just under 2 acres that we were able to purchase just a few months ago. And as you can see, we already have added 50 parking spots for this coming weekend and for all of next year. We're just waiting on permits where we can fully complete the build and the lot. We're looking to add about 200 spots in this area. And the exciting thing about this is God is on the move at HCV. He is on the move, and you're a part of that move. I believe that God loves Hub City. I believe he loves the tri-state area, and I believe God is going to use our community of faith to change lives in 2026 and beyond. And this land is a testimony to that, because God moved a mountain last year in our prayers, in our commitment to him, and in moving that mountain, there's more opportunities for people to come, to gather, to worship, and to experience life change. Will you join me on that journey?